Hi friends, welcome to Web Application Development with the Django course video series presented by Narendra from Do with Python Technologies. In this video, we are going to see starting web application with its app using the Django framework. I mean, how to start a web application using by developing some applications in that using the Django framework. Okay, let me start that. So already in previous video we have seen that how to start a project using the Django framework, right? This is the very first step you have to use. The Django admin, start project and your project name. Okay, let me start that first. So I am going to start some project. Let me take that project. So I am using the Django admin, start project, some project name. So I'm going to take project name as do with Python, right? So once if I do this, then it will create your do with Python project. Somewhere it is there. Just let me move into that do with Python. Yes. Now we are under do with Python project. So I told that whatever the project name you are going to create, with that project name, one new directory will be created under your project. Along with that, one manage.py. Now in order to manage your project, now this is the configuration file. I mean, this is like an interpreter. So using this interpreter you have to manage your project, and configuration details will be stored into this project, and this is the very main directory. Whatever the action you are going to do on this project, it be configured on this directory. So now, so in your project, right, once if you start your project, then the directory structure of your project, the default directory structure of your project will be like this. So this is your main project, do with Python. Under that you are going to create one directory with the same name of your project and one manage.py. Okay, along with that, in your do with Python directory you are having some files, right? Already we saw these files. So this represent initialization or it means this is a package, and settings.py, here you are having like database configurations. In case if you are going to create some applications, then you have to register that application with this settings.py. Then urls.py is for to resolve the user request based on URL. Okay. Anyway, first of all, by the very first step you are going to get your default directory structure as like this. Remember that do with Python is actually your project. With your project name you are going to get one new directory. So actually these all are main configuration files for your project. Along with that you are going to get one manage.py Python file. Using this manage.py Python file, you can start new apps on your project. Now I am going to see, as of now we done this. Now I am going to create two apps on my project. So how you can create? So Python manage.py, start app, then app name. The same way I am going to create two apps here. So let me move to my command line. So here I am going to use Python manage.py, start app, suppose home application 1, and then I am going to take one more, that is suppose like address of my site. That's it. Now if you list, you are having along with your default directory and your manage.py, just now you created two apps for your web application. Now these two are the apps for your web application. Now how your directory structure will be of your project, like this. So your main project, under that again your default directory name, then manage.py. Along with that, in the same directory you are having your home and address apps on your directory. Okay, then next thing, so we have done this, right? Next thing, you have to register your created apps in settings.py project file. I mean, just now we created home and address. Once if you created any apps, that app's name you must register with the settings.py of your project. That will be there in the do with Python directory. Okay, let me open this directory structure using any code editors. Now I am going to use Sublime text editor. It will support for development of any application. You can also use PyCharm. Let me open my folder. So it is there in desktop do with Python. Yes. Now observe here guys, this is the default project directory structure, right? And under this do with Python you are having actually settings.py, and somewhere you will get installed apps, right? So here you are getting installed apps. In this list you have to add your two created apps, home apps and address app. So just now we created a home app and address app. So once if we create, I mean using Python manage.py start app some app name, that means you are going to create one app in our project. Then here we created two apps in our project. Immediately after creation of your apps, you have to register them with this option installed apps. That means in settings.py you have to register them. So now I am going to register that. See, one is home and second one is address. That's it. So that is over. Now save it. Okay. Okay. Anyway, let me start my project. Python manage.py run server. Now I will check. Now I am able to access. So no module name AD or ESS. Something goes wrong. So our AD or E, yeah. So correct name you must provide. And now it is. See, the biggest advantage of with your default server of your Django is whenever if you are going to do some changes in your code, by default the server will restart. See, just now we modified this letter yes, right? And see, it is default, by default it will restart. You no need to restart your server whenever you are going to do some modifications on your code. By default Django will restart your server. So now I am going to access this in case if you are able to get something. Yes, so of course you are able to get the Django default page. That means you, as of now, whatever the thing you configured, they are correct. Okay, now you registered your applications with settings.py. Then now you just now created two apps, right? Home and address. Then what are the default files you are going to get in your home or in your address or any application which you started in your project? See, by default for your project, these are the default things, right? This one under this files and manage.py, these are the default things. Along with that, whenever if you start some application on your project, what are the default things you are going to get? So nothing is there. You are going to get these are the files. Okay, as of now I am not going with each and every file. So again init is like a to represent this home as a package, and I am going with only views.py as of now. So views.py is the responsible file in order to show some data whenever a request is come from user. So here you have to write a code in order to process user request, user URL on any application. Okay, so views.py is the main file. There you have to write your code. Based on that code, whenever user sends some request to your application, you will send back some response. So that thing you have to write in this views.py. So while going forward we will see each and everything. So as of now just remember that views.py is our required file. So there you have to write some code. Okay, anyway, finally if you create some applications, this is the default directory structure. The same files whatever you are having under your home app, same files you will get in even in address app also. These are the default files. Okay, now suppose, right, if user is going to send some request to your project, So in your project you may have any application, any number of applications. So user may try to access any application on your web application or on your project. Suppose one user is there, he is going to get home page of your project. Then how it will process, how the user will get home page of your application, right? Observe here guys, first I will give the flow, then we will go and modify the things so that we will do some URL. Based on that you will get some response. Suppose user is there, user is going to use some URL. Just assume this is the URL to get your home page of your application. Then how this URL will will process. See, whenever user is going to enter some URL on browser, okay, so that will first hit to your complete project, the Django folder structure or directory structure. I mean, it will come to your project. So between this there is some process, it has to resolve DNS name, everything. You don't worry about as of now, just straightforward. If this is the user URL, so because of that, first if this URL request comes to your project, so in your project you are having this do with Python, right? So along with you are having this is the structure. Suppose just assume this is your project structure. Whenever user enters on his browser this URL, that URL directly comes to your project. But after reaching to your project directory, where it will go? By default, first it will go to your urls.py of your do with Python directory structure. So once it comes to urls.py, so here this urls.py will resolve actually what is the URL, for which application this is the URL. So that things you have to code it here. So we will code it here, but here I am going to show the flow. So once user enters this URL, it will come directly to your urls.py of your default project directory, that is a do with Python as of now, right? So now from there, so actually in each and every application you don't have default urls.py direct file, you have to create it such that from this urls.py, based on this URL, your Django will redirect this urls.py based on this URL, which application it's related to, which application. So as of now, which is related to home. So that's why your request goes to urls.py of your home application. From there, this urls.py file will directly send the request to your views.py, so that finally you will get the response for your user URL. Guys, here you need to remember that urls.py is not the default file of each and every application you created in your project. Manually you have to create urls.py file. Okay, now how your flow is there? User, he is going to enter some URL on browser, that will directly come to default urls.py file which is there with the project name. This is the default file you are having in your project, urls.py. From there, which will find out the which URL this is, I mean for which application this is. Suppose if it is home URL, it will send that request to urls.py of home. In case if it is address URL, then it will send to in application address there, especially for urls.py file. And from that urls.py, it will resolve the, or it will give the response from the code views.py. So remember that by default there is no urls.py. You have to create that urls.py, so that if any application, if any URLs comes to this application urls.py, so what it has to get, that you will get from this view.py, views.py code. So that response come to here, then finally the user will get the response. So guys, this is the flow how your Django URL will process in your Django project, how user URL will be processed. Now let me go to our project. So one thing, first thing you have to register your applications, right? Yes, we registered already. Then go to suppose first your home application. Observe here, There is no default urls.py. Okay, anyway, first you have to write code in views.py. See, I am going to write some code here. Don't worry about this, we'll discuss it later. Django.http import http response. Now I am going to define a simple function, home page. You can define any number of functions. Okay, so I am going to take default parameter as request. It's your wish, you can take anything. So now I am going to return, in case if this function is called, then I am going to return http response. Suppose this is a home page request. As of now I am going to write only single function under views.py, but you can write any number of functions, classes, inside classes you can define some functions. Okay, everything you can do. As of now I am going to write a simple Python code in views.py, that too only a function. Now immediately after creating some code in views.py, in the same app you have to create one new file called urls.py, and here you have to write some code. So that is for, in case, see, if the request comes to your urls.py, where it has to go. So for that you have to write something. So for that you don't need to worry, just copy from here whatever there in your default urls.py, copy that and come to your urls.py of your application, write like this. Along with that, from current location I am importing views file. So what will happen? Suppose if user is going to enter like this pattern as home, then I want to call from views. Okay, I want to call home page function. You can call, in case if you are having multiple functions, then you can also call different function. Okay, now that is the thing. Then save it. Once if it is done, this urls.py file you have to register with original urls.py of your project. So go to there, see here you have to write the include option. So what you have to do is, nothing is there, simply path. Okay, I am going to take as of now empty, don't worry about that. Include, then here, so your app, what is that app? Home dot urls.py. That is the thing. Once if you done that, just save it. So if you save it, by default, okay, home.views has no attribute home page. Let me see that home page. Okay guys, it's everything fine, but what is the wrong here? Home.views has no attribute home page. Yeah, maybe after returning this content, maybe we forgot to save it. So once if you save it, maybe I hope it will resolve the issue. Yeah, see, once if you, yeah, don't forget to save after doing each and every modification, and after saving any modification, by default it will restart. Okay, now it is going to restart. Now let me do that slash home, and what is the content you are going to get? See, this is a home page request. Actually, where you are having this home page request content, under your home app, right? Under views you are having, this is a home page request. Okay, so same way you can also do some address, you can also print some address. Let me go and do some address. So go to your address and there go to first views, and there, see, so these are the default modules from the Django. Okay, as of now you don't worry about that. In case if you want to send some http response back to user request, then you have to import http response. So directly I am importing from the Django.http import http response. That's it. Now define some function, So I'm going to define address of my page. That's it. reques request, then simply return http response, we are from India. That's it. Right, now I'm going to save it. Once if you save, in your app there is no default urls.py. First you have to create one default urls.py. Now I'm going to save it, urls.py, under your address app. Don't forget that urls.py. Okay, there anyway you are having this one, just copy. Already we are having that. So along with that you required path as well, right? That's it. Suppose if I get some address, then from views of your address, what is the function? This function you have to call. So in order to call that function, just your script name dot that function name. That's it. And once if you done that, you have to register this urls.py in your main urls.py of your project. That is do with Python here. So here you have to register. So how you can register? Nothing is there. Simply path. Okay. Then include, suppose okay, it's not home, address dot, so application is address, right? address dot urls. That's it. Yeah, it's going to restart. Observe here, by default it's going to restart. So that is the way you have to register and you have to configure your applications, each and every application and its URL in urls.py. Okay. Okay. Now let me use URL for this. Suppose what is the URL you are to going to get is address slash. If that URL, in case if you access, so I'm going to see address. Yes, you are getting, we are from India. So based on which application you are going to use your URL, for that only you are getting content, right? In case if I use simply home, sorry, it says home slash, yes, this is a home page request. Or suppose if you get again address, yes, we are from India. Okay, so guys, here up to now we are going to get direct content, text content from your views.py, from your views.py file. So where is views? Suppose whatever it may be views, you are getting some content directly, text content. So instead of that, you can also send a response as some HTML file, so that you will get some designed page. Instead of getting directly straight content here, you can also get some information in like a web page information using HTML file as well. So instead of directly sending text content, you can also write, you can also send back some HTML file, so that you will get some clear picture on your browser. I mean, user will get some clear picture on their browser. Okay, so guys, this is the way how to work and how to access your URLs and how to create apps using the Django web framework. Okay, so in my next video I will show how to write templates, I mean how to work out with HTML files. So that is like on front side. So we know that application we can have to develop in front end as well as back end. So back end we are going to develop with the Django, and that too using Python code. And front end purpose, you have to write some HTML code, HTML with CSS, HTML, CSS plus JavaScript, whatever it may be, you can write it. Okay, based on your styles, you can go and select CSS or not. That's it. Okay. Okay guys, thank you for watching this video. If you have any queries, you can post as comments. Okay, don't forget to subscribe my channel. Do subscribe my channel so that you will notify whenever we post some new videos. Okay, bye.